When a lot of people talk about the future of work, whether we talk about AI, whether we talk about real-time recognition and feedback, communication and collaboration at scale, apps, all these concepts around the future of work are powered by you, by all of you sitting in this room. You help create and make the future of work happen. Now, I also recognize that sometimes we're so caught up in the day-to-day aspects of how we work that sometimes it's a little bit challenging for us to take a step back and look at the big picture of how the world of work is changing. So I want you to imagine for a minute that you are an alien, and you've come down to planet Earth to observe humans. So you come down in your little spaceship, you park it somewhere, and you just hang out for a little bit. Think about some of the things that you would observe about the people of planet Earth. For starters, there are around 7.5 billion people on planet Earth. Average lifespan is around 70, 80 years, depending on where you look. And from all these people on planet Earth, almost everybody does this thing called work. And from all these people on planet Earth, all of them do this thing called work, and almost all of them don't like their jobs. Consider for a minute that if you were to open up the dictionary right now and look up the word employee, you would find that synonyms for the word employee include cog, servant, and slave. If you were to look up the word manager in the dictionary, you would find that synonyms include slave driver, boss, and my personal favorite one, zookeeper. Zookeeper. And if you look up the word work in the dictionary, you'll find that synonyms for the word work include daily grind, drudgery, and struggle. Wow, work sucks. This is literally how we have built our organizations over the last 10, 50, 100, and 150 years. How many of you have seen the movie Office Space? Okay, how many of you have not seen the movie Office Space? Oh my goodness. I got a suggestion for Jim for your next team get-together. So Office Space is meant to be this comedic film, but a lot of people watch it like it's some kind of a documentary. I mean, a lot of people watch Office Space and they're like, oh God, that's my life. Right? But it's meant to be a comedic film. But now we're starting to see a lot of things change in the world of work. You know, there used to be a time, and some of you might remember this, when you could smoke in the office. There used to be a time when you could just work a 9 to 5, and anything that you did before 9 o'clock or after 5 o'clock was just personal time. And there also used to be a time when if your organization had a job that it wanted to fill, it would put up the job posting, maybe take an ad in the newspaper, maybe put up the posting online somewhere, and you would get a bunch of people apply for the job. And one by one, those prospective candidates would try to convince you why they should work for you. They would talk about the wonderful schools that they went to, the accomplishments that they have, all these wonderful things so that you would consider them. Today, we don't live in that kind of a world anymore. Today, you don't smoke in the office. Working 9 to 5 has largely been replaced by this concept of work-life integration. And today, when you have a job that you want to fill, and when candidates come through your doors, when prospects come through your doors, now all of a sudden they're asking you the questions. What is it like to work here? What technologies am I going to be using? What's the space like where I'm going to be working? What's the leadership style? Is it command and control? Is there hierarchy? Am I going to feel a sense of empowerment? What's the purpose? What's the mission of the company?
Hey, really quick, sorry to interrupt you, but did you know that 96% of the people who watch videos on this channel are not subscribed? Do me a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can get notified when more videos just like this one are released. And now, let's get back to the content.
And so now what we're starting to see is that it's not candidates trying to convince you why they should work for you. It's you as an organization, you as Nationwide, that has to convince people why they should work for you. And that's a very, very different way for us to think about work. Now think about how organizations over the past few decades, how we have typically tried to attract and retain people. The first thing that organizations have done a very good job of is they tell a very compelling story, don't they? I mean, if you were to go up to any organization, any employee in an organization, you say, what is it like to work here? They always say, oh, it's great, it's fun, it's wonderful, managers love you, beautiful offices. We put all of this stuff on their career pages, it's all over Glassdoor. We tell a very compelling story. But then what happens when we actually join the organization? We find out that something very different occurs. Now, I'm not going to ask you how many of you have tried online dating, but I have, before I got married. And one of the things that I noticed about online dating, which was really weird, is that oftentimes the person whose profile you see and the person who shows up to the date are not the same person. And I feel like this has happened a lot for organizations around the world. We try to make ourselves publicly look like we're these amazing places to work, but then the reality is that it's oftentimes not the case. Now, the second thing that organizations have been doing over the past few decades is they've been investing in something known as employee engagement programs, which started off with very good intentions. But typically, this is how most organizations think about employee engagement. Now, I think we can all agree that on day one, nobody shows up working for your company saying this place sucks, right? It doesn't happen. On day one, people are genuinely excited to be there. They want to be a part of the organization. They're excited. They start asking, what tools am I going to be using? What am I working on? Who am I going to be working with? We are genuinely excited to work for the organization on day one. And then something happens over time. Rules, policies, bureaucracies, and our engagement levels start to go down. And typically here, what happens is we turn to our HR teams. We say, hey, that's not cool. That needs to be, we need not a 62 on our engagement survey, we need a 95. Go. And then a bunch of people get together around a room and they say, all right, well, anybody got any ideas? How do we get this employee engagement number higher? And somebody from the back says, ooh, I got an idea. Why don't we give them free food on Tuesdays? Genius. Okay, so free food on Tuesdays. Guess what? All of a sudden, it works. Her engagement levels go up a little bit. And then what happens? Same thing. They go back down, and somebody else says, all right, free food Tuesdays didn't work. What else you got? And somebody says, how about hot yoga on Friday? Genius. Goes back up. And I'm sure by now you can start to see the problem with this. You're not actually doing anything. Right? The way that most organizations think about employee engagement programs is kind of like an adrenaline shot. Right? You give the adrenaline shot, engagement goes up a little bit, it goes back down, you give another adrenaline shot. It doesn't work. The reason why it doesn't work is because of something known as the hedonic treadmill. We as individuals are very good at adapting to stuff. And what that means is that if you show up to work one day and you get free food, you're like, oh man, this is pretty cool. And then a couple months later, you show up to work and it's free food, and you're like, yeah, it should be free food. I expect it, of course. What kind of place is this? Don't give me free food. What else you got? Where's that soul cycle I've been wanting? Where's the hot yoga? And so what starts to happen is you become a part of the organization simply because of things that you get. And that's not a very healthy way to build an organization.